I am Jim Collison, and this is Gallup's Called to Coach, recorded on August 9th, 2022. Call to Coach is a resource for those who want to help others discover and use their strengths. We have Gallup experts and independent strengths coaches share tactics, insights, and strategies, and a lot of strategies today to help coaches maximize the talent of individuals, teams, and organizations around the world. If you're listening live and you don't see the chat room, there's a link right above us there to it. And if you're listening after the fact or to the podcast, you can always send us your questions, coaching@gallup.com. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or right down there on YouTube so you never miss an episode. Austin Solentrop is our host today. Austin is a CliftonStrengths portfolio manager here at Gallup. And Austin, always great to have you on Called to Coach. Welcome back.
Thanks, Jim. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Today is a day I get excited for these to begin with, but I'm probably more excited today than I have been for an episode in a really, really long time. So thanks for having me.
Excited to be here. Take a second, introduce our guest.
Yeah. To many of you in the coaching community, our guest today is somebody who you've known for years. And if you don't know him, you have likely heard about the work he has done over the years with our community. Richard Sterry, who is the founder and creator of Releasing Strengths and the Cascade toolkit, who is joining us today to talk through some really exciting news, some big change in our community. And so, Richard, thank you not only for being here today, right, this afternoon, evening for you, but for everything you've done to support the movement. There is no doubt in my mind that we would not be where we are today in terms of 28 million and a thriving coaching community if it was not for your passion and the work you have done over the years. So, Richard, thank you for being here with us.
Well, thank you, Austin, and Jim, for your welcome. Really do appreciate that. And just looking down the chat and seeing all the names there, that's all my friends. Hi, everybody. I wish I could actually see your faces. I wish this was on Zoom, then we can actually share some interaction with that. Yeah. I just really want to sort of explain a few things about sort of what the change is happening, but just explain sort of how we've got to this point. And when I did my strengths coaching with Gallup, that was back in 2015 in London, and I realized immediately that there were loads of resources that Gallup have, and for me they just weren't quite all pulled together. So that when I was doing my coaching, I was doing training with teams and individuals. With individualization number one, I was constantly reframing it, reorganizing it, and pulling it together for that particular coaching session. And that really was the birth of Cascade, although it wasn't called anything like that at that time. And then a year or so later, became a Gallup licensed partner, and I was able to sort of commercially sell it to other coaches on there. And since then, it's just exploded, absolutely exploded. No way would I have thought then that we'd be here today now. We have thousands of coaches and organizations benefiting from the Cascade reports in over 70 different countries worldwide. And for an individual with his own business, that is not a small achievement. So thank you to the community. Thank you for all that you're doing in promoting it and using it and how it's helping your businesses. And from that, we've got to a stage where we need to take it to the next level. We need to step it up. I've just got a limited amount of IP I could use within Cascade, which I'd sort of got the agreement from Gallup. And you're all asking the similar questions. Oh, can we have this information in there? Can we have that information in there? And previously, that couldn't happen. Yeah. And also getting the volume and size everything needed to step up a bit. And then I was talking to Phil Roman from Gallup. This was last year. And we were just sharing our vision. Where do we want to go? What do we want to see? And we realized that we've got to share with very, very similar visions, is to grow the coaching community to enhance the strengths movement. And we were very much aligned in that. And then the conversation led, okay, what can we do? How can we take this forward? And what sort of opportunities could there be? And we realized, actually, if we did come together, then there's some incredible opportunities. We'll be able to get more content into Cascade. We'll be able to scale up the support and sort of admin behind the scenes for Cascade. And because I know so many of you, and I'm involved in coaching communities literally all over the globe, lots of different groups in many different continents. That's a really rich source of information that I can use to help feed back to Gallup to say, these are the things we need. This is what the coaches are asking for. This is how we can really work together and create resources that are meaningful, relevant, useful, and all those other things as well. So that's how we got to this stage. It's not been an easy journey, mainly because there have been so many details to try and thrash out. And I was very, very keen that it's not just going to be a deal which is good for Gallup and good for myself. It's important to be good for the coaches. And we needed to get it right. And so actually we've been in discussions, in serious discussions right since back of January. So it's not been an easy decision, and it's been quite challenging at times, but we've been able to work through all that. And I must say, I'm really grateful for all those involved at Gallup that we've been able to find a solution that is going to work.
Yeah. Richard, well said. And I think the context of understanding, for those of you who may not be as intimately familiar, right, with you and your experience, your story, or with Cascade, understanding that Cascade, part of what makes, I think, my experience, Cascade such a brilliant toolkit is that it was born from a practitioner's perspective, right? It was you doing coaching yourself, holding workshops, holding sessions, saying, I need to find a way to get all this content that I love to use easily bundled together for my sessions without having to reinvent the wheel every time, right? And so knowing that speaks to my background really brilliantly in having been a client of Gallup's before I joined Gallup, and always trying to bring a practical view to what we're doing with the strengths movement. And so what I'd like to use that as sort of a jumping off point to sort of share some slides as it sort of guide the conversation. We're going to talk a lot today in this session about details and about things that are going to be happening. And so to all of you joining us live right now, my intent is not that you read every word on every one of these slides, but that we have it written. It'll be shared in FAQ form. It'll be shared in obviously the recording and the transcript of this. But we'll be publishing a lot of details around this movement, sort of what's happening with the movement here coming together shortly out of this. Look, Gallup has acquired Cascade. We've acquired Cascade, and we've done it again for you heard Richard's perspective on why from his angle, but I want to make sure we're clear about what we view this enabling us to do, and why this is a big step forward for the movement. So, Richard just laid out some of that, Richard, but is there anything else you want to ask? Like, why did we do this? What led to this? Anything else you want to add into from that conversation?
I think just re-emphasize the fact that I was trying to do a certain amount on my own, and there's a limited to what one person can do, whereas actually working together, and I'm looking forward to getting more involved in the technical teams and those conversations within Gallup to really be that interface. And I think that's going to be a great advantage for everyone on there.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say from our perspective, look, there's no product our customers and our clients and our coaches like and love and are passionate about more than Cascade. From the moment I've been involved in this role, leading the strengths portfolio since 2019, there's nothing that consistently pops up more with people asking us, well, why can Cascade do this and you can't? I'm like, well, that's a great question. It's a fair question I get asked a lot, Richard. You set the bar for sort of our game. And so our users have loved Cascade for years since it's been around and continue to rave about it. And so when we were thinking about, well, what do we do next? Where do we take our content, our reporting options, our user interface? Why try to reinvent something that we know this is working, right? And there's a new way for us to add value in convenience. And as you said, Richard, being able to add new things into it, new content we're creating, other IP that we have either in Access or in other resources that have not traditionally been available to you to leverage in Cascade that we can look at, we can explore, adding new reporting options, new toolkits, new workshop tools, right? The thing that probably gets me the most excited about this is the alignment that I know we, myself, the people at Gallup who lead our team here, who lead the strengths sort of strategy, just how like perfectly aligned we are with Richard on understanding what we're hoping to accomplish, where we're trying to take things, and how critical this community is with where we are trying to take the movement, and where we're trying to take sort of the tools we provide, the resources we provide to support coaches. So let's start with a basic question that I'm sure either people are asking themselves, or what is Cascade? So Richard, if we were to introduce this, one of the things that's cool about this is, yeah, so Gallup's acquired it. That's great. But if you were to introduce Cascade to somebody for the very first time, how would you describe it? What would you say to somebody who's like, well, what is this thing that you're talking about right now?
Okay, well, I would take the scenario. You're going to coach somebody. You're just about to do a team workshop. How many hours do you spend preparing all the information, preparing the team grids, preparing all the individual reports, creating the name tents, doing any lanyard badges or anything like that? All that time you spend creating those things and putting people's themes in the right places and all that sort of thing. And then you get somebody who just finishes their assessment 2 hours beforehand, and you have to redo all the team grids and all that sort of thing before, as well, just before it starts. Cascade will just do that all at your fingertips. Once you've got the information in there and you can export out of Gallup, import it straight into Cascade, then it's there at your fingertips. The reports are just there. You can create the PDFs, you can email them off to the people or print them out in a batch and that sort of thing. It just takes all the hassle out of the admin. And what it does from there is it leaves you to get on with the coaching and focus on the coaching, because that's obviously what you want to do. You want to do the coaching side of things. You don't want to have to worry about all the faffing around with all the paperwork beforehand.
Yeah. I love what a critical thing you said there, of like reducing admin and stress and effort there, so you can focus on what it is you do best, which is the conversation. It's the coaching. It's the facilitation, right? It's that interaction with clients. When we think about Gallup and our relationship to coaches, we obviously believe very heavily in this idea of, do you have the opportunity to do what you do best every day, right? It's question 3 in the Q12. Q3, it's fundamental to our sort of belief system. Our hope is that this integration and the acquisition of Cascade and sort of bringing it into Access, what it will do is it will make it even easier to leverage the toolkit, and that it's one fewer step that people have to do. It's one less place people have to go. So Jim, if we pull that slide back up, I want to use this as a chance to illustrate, right? Since I've been involved in 2019, we've talked about trying to find one place to go to do business with Gallup, right? We've had all these disparate websites that existed over the years, and we're trying to pull them all into Access. We're now taking the most popular tool we know and say, you don't have to go anywhere else to get it. You don't have to keep it anywhere else. It's going to live in Access, where you can get it when you need it right there, right? And so again, it's a step. It's the next step in our sort of vision of trying to reduce the effort it takes to do what it is you love most. So I really appreciate the way you described that, Richard. So as we sort of go to the next sort of idea, this is why it happened. What led to this? People are likely going to be asking, well, what's actually going to happen? Walk us through this, right? And so, Richard, I'm going to sort of take the first stab at sort of laying out the plan here, and let you chime in throughout as people ask questions and so forth. But to those of you joining us live, we're going to try and get through as much of this content first as possible, and then we're going to leave a big chunk of time at the end to do the full-on Q&A. We want to make sure we provide you all the information up front we can. So what can you expect as a subscriber? Okay. When we talk about integration with Access, it's going to come in multiple phases. Okay. So that first phase of integration with Access, we are going to launch the workbook, the Cascade workbook. It is an Excel workbook, right? And it is going to be present inside of Gallup Access with what the functionalities you're used to from it, right? It's going to have the same reports. It's going to have the same menu. It's going to have all that, right? We're gonna have a little bit probably of Gallup branding included in it. Our design team is going through and we're doing reviews of all the content for punctuation and capitalization. And we've actually, Richard, found that there's some things we've updated from an IP perspective in recent months that we've been able to pull in and have the latest, greatest content inside there, right? That's the first phase. That's going to be sort of how we initially launch it, but that's not where we're going to stop. we have, a second, third, fourth, many phases beyond this. The second phase will be where we can have what I call tighter integrations with Gallup Access. Think about the ability to, rather than having to copy and paste data into Cascade, just export the full data you have into Cascade. Click one button and take your results that you have in your portal and go ahead and download a book that's already pre-populated with results, rather than having to copy and paste from the community export or copy and paste from the Teams export, as it may be, right? We're working on that sort of for that second phase. But then third phase and beyond, that's where Richard and I get really excited about what are the new options we can create? What are the new reports we can have? What are the additional tools you're asking for that Richard's been having on the back burner that he knows he wants to build, but hasn't been either had the capability from an IP perspective or the capacity from the fact that he's one human, right? There's a lot of that. So again, phase one that we'll be talking about timing on here in a little bit, it'll be very much what you're used to. But then phases 2 and beyond will be where we start getting into some new functions and some new greater convenience. But probably the most common question I've received in the last week or so since this announcement's gone public, Richard, is, okay, that's great, Austin, but where's Richard going? What's going to happen with Richard? He's the single greatest client support I've ever had. He's more hands-on than anybody I've ever met in terms of providing support. What's going to happen? I want to reinforce, and I'll let you speak to this, but I want to reinforce part of this acquisition is we are working with Richard every day. Richard and I have spoken more in the last a couple months through this process than we did for the 3 years prior. And I'm loving it and loving the fact that your support as users will not change in the short term. You are going to have at the same channels you use, but that Richard's here to help us both from a ongoing support as well as helping our teams learn how to provide support. So Richard, if you'll speak a little bit about sort of how you're going to be involved and how you sort of your vision for that.
Yeah, well, thank you, Austin. Well, certainly the initial piece is just helping the tech teams at Gallup just to get Cascade in and get it up and running and just making sure it's all working effectively as you're used to. So that's the first phase during this sort of transition period until it's actually launched from Gallup Access. And then after that, it's really sort of twofold. One is having a sort of a hand in sort of what's going on the technical teams and keeping in what's going on there with Gallup. But also, I still want to keep those connections with the community. Many of you, I recognize a lot of names in the chat there. We've had Zoom sessions and we've had nice chats, and we've sort of it's been really good to share information on that along that forum. And I would love that to continue. I really want to keep that hand in what's happening with the community and really get an understanding for what's going on, so that then I can feed that back to the tech teams to say, hey, this is what's needed. This is how we need to take things forward on that. So really working in two different arenas, but helping to bring people together. Harmony is in my top 5. I absolutely use that as much as I possibly can and just really want to bring that together, looking for those points of friction. Okay, that's not working well. How can we make it better?
Yeah, absolutely. And Richard, I think I want the community to hear this. It's not, when we think about acquiring products and acquiring organizations and things that we could do as Gallup, there's a lot of great tools out there and a lot of great things out there. This doesn't work if there isn't Richard involved. So I want the community to hear this. Like the acquisition of Cascade works for us because we get Richard with it in terms of his ongoing partnership and his commitment to being a part of the community going forward. And his involvement, and you just heard it, I hope you heard it, is more than just how do I support Cascade going forward. It's how do I support the community and how do I tighten the connection between the coaches and Gallup. Yeah, that will feed work we do with Cascade without a doubt. But it will feed much more than just Cascade. It will feed a lot of the feedback mechanisms we have, a lot of the listening posts, and a lot of the projects we work on. So again, I want everybody to really hear that from us, that this is going to work, and it is something we're interested in doing initially because Richard and his commitment to partnering going forward. So I'm very excited about this. I'm gonna, as we sort of take this to the next steps. I want to sort of lay out. This is gonna be where we get into some meat, the meat of the conversation for the sort of the deep stuff. I'm gonna share sort of a matrix of all right. Well, how does this impact me? Right. So there's really 4 use cases here. Bottom left here, right? So if you currently do not have a subscription to Access and you currently do not have a subscription to Cascade, frankly, you're missing out on a ton of functionality, a ton of tools, a ton of resources that could be helping you, right? If you're interested in learning more about either one of those, coaching@gallup.com, and we're happy to connect with you and talk. Jim and I have done, hours upon hours of content in recorded form, both on the different subscription tools inside of Access, and as well as I know Richard through the Releasing Strengths website has a tremendous amount of content there that can help you understand what Cascade is. Right now, they still exist separately, okay? And so if you fall in that bucket, we'd love to help you learn more, right? I'm sure Jim will help us by throwing some links in the chat room to help with that, right? If you currently have a Cascade subscription, but you do not have a Gallup Access subscription, right? Our team at Gallup will be reaching out to you, and they'll be reaching out to you directly, and they'll talk about what options you have as part of this acquisition to get set up for a subscription on Access. If you are a current subscriber of Cascade and you do not have an Access subscription, you will be given 1 year free of an Access subscription to get you on board, get you in, and get you set up. We're going to absolutely do that. The Gallup team we have an entire team on standby who will begin the outreach for that here. I'd say probably by the end of the month, that process will be initiated. Look, Richard did a really good job building a business. There's thousands of subscribers. Okay. So it's not going to be like in 1 week, we're able to get in touch with everybody, but that process will begin. Okay. In the meantime, if you fall in that bucket and you want to go ahead and start talking to us, you can absolutely reach out through Richard, the normal channels you have, or through coaching@gallup.com. Okay. And we'll be happy to get that ball rolling for you. Other categories. Say you do not have a Cascade subscription. You heard about this thing. You think this Cascade tool is fantastic, but you do have a Gallup Access subscription. Okay. You don't have to do anything. The Cascade toolkit is going to automatically sort of show up in your toolkit online through the portal in that September-October timeframe. End of the month, we're saying we'll start being able to test it September, but we'll have it probably ready confidently by October. Okay, so that it'll just be a new toolkit. It gets launched with feature updates, and you'll hear about it through our Access newsletters and our release notes on that front. If you have both. If you're in that segment, which we have a lot, Richard, which has been fun. One of the fun things is looking at how many customers we share, how many clients we share that cross over and have subscriptions to both. Then I want to be really clear. Again, nothing will change for you. No action is needed on your end. It will show up automatically. Okay. But what we will do is we will make sure that if you have, we have some customers that have, dozens of Cascade subscribers spread out throughout an organization, right? And that what we'll do is we'll make sure that as it gets turned on for that customer's subscription, every member who currently has a subscription, that they get the permissions to be able to see the tool, use the tool, sort of that it's set up for their account appropriately. We'll take care of that on our end, so you don't have to take any action if you currently have an Access subscription. But if you're in that one of those other categories and you have it, if you're interested in learning more about this, or you don't currently have a subscription, we will be reaching out to you. You can always reach out to us in the short term. That's sort of the basics, if you will. But you may have noticed something that I said in this bucket down here around no access subscription, that we'll reach out to discuss your options around subscriptions. To this point, we haven't had a whole lot of options when it comes to subscriptions to Access, right? And you've heard me talk about this infamous coaches subscription to Gallup Access. Many of you have been hounding me saying, Austin, where is this thing? You've been talking about it for years. Like, what's going on? Frankly, we were waiting for this to happen. We were waiting to get this across the finish line, to provide a new way of offering value to our coaches. And we are so darn excited that with the acquisition of Cascade, we will be able to offer a subscription designed for coaches. We are calling it our personal subscription, and I'll explain why we call it the personal subscription. So our existing subscription plan is at the top. These are some sort of highlights, if you will. This is not an exhaustive list of functions or features, right? But this is our traditional $1,500 US plan that we've offered. It's really always been designed for organizations that are using CliftonStrengths with employees or their members of their organization, right? You get client admin seats, usually we offer 5 to begin with. Anybody who you send a code to through that and redeems a code is brought in and included as we use the term member of your organization. What does that mean? It means from a data privacy perspective, you become the data owner as a subscriber, right? You're responsible for their data. You sort of maintain those rights over it. They also then get permission to act on your behalf because they can go to the store and buy codes on behalf of their organization. Many coaches, especially independent coaches, have expressed frustration over that feature in and of itself. And I get it, because it was designed for companies who were using with their employees or their members. That's what enables managers to buy for their teams. That is what enables departments to go buy on their own. And so it's been one of those points that's rubbed people a little bit, right? And we understand that. And so what it does is that sort of approach unlocks all of the advanced content, the manager content, all of the team reporting. It creates it and makes it available for every single person who redeems a code. And you can set permissions on all those roles. What the personal subscription does, what this coach's subscription does, is it's designed for a different kind of user. It is designed for coaches working with individuals and teams that are not their employees. So what does that mean? It means, look, you get, instead of 5 or the ability to buy more client admin seats, sort of system administrators, you get 2, one for you and then one for if you have an admin partner, right? You, as the system admin, you get full permissions to all the functionality, all the content, all the features, all the team reports, all the team structure, all of those kinds of things, Cascade being a part of that, right? But the people you send codes to, when they redeem them, they still remain a consumer. They are not automatically created as members of your organization. What does that mean? It means they get all the standard consumer site stuff. So they can't see team reports. They can't see all the sort of different sort of reporting structure of your organization. They also can't purchase codes on your behalf, right? So it creates that wall where they're still consumers, but you see their data. You do not become their data owner from a data security perspective, which is growing in concern internationally, and then especially in the U.S. There's legislation happening, I know, in California right now that's going to distinctly impact how we have to handle data privacy, right? So what I hope you see, and this is, again, scratching the surface with this, but introducing that the acquisition of Cascade is enabling us to now launch this. And this is something Richard was very, very, I would say, passionate's an understatement, that if we're going to do this deal, if we're going to bring Cascade in and say, okay, the way you're going to get Cascade going forward is through a subscription to Access. We had to have a low cost entry point to Access for coaches that made it sustainable, and that enabled us to, we didn't want to be sort of pigeonholing every coach into one subscription type that really wasn't designed for them. So we're very excited that, now that Cascade is coming into Access, that we'll be able to launch this new subscription type. So very, very excited for this personal subscription. This is sort of the standard we're going to go with. It. If you have that existing subscription to Cascade, this is what you're going to get for free for a year, is this new personal subscription. Okay. We will work case by case with you to see if that's the right one for you, right? We know there's probably subscribers that are to Cascade, long-term clients of Richard's that, they're already using our basic subscription, our standard one. Great. We don't say you have to change. We're just making sure you understand this is where we're starting. For most independent coaches and sort of small businesses, this is going to work well. If it makes more sense for us to be in the basic, then certainly we have that flexibility. But wanted to sort of lay that out there. Richard, anything you want to sort of say on this or speak to sort of in terms of the ability to offer this?
Yeah, I just think one thing, if those who are listening rather than watching, who can't see the screen on there, do you
Yeah.
just want to re-emphasize the price points of
Yeah.
the 2 subscription levels?
Absolutely. So our current offering, our current subscription is our basic subscription is $1,500 US annually, right? The new personal subscription that we're launching will be $299 annually, right? So it's designed to be, we're talking similar price point to what Cascade was, in terms of that, closer to that price range. It's not designed to be a financial burden. It's designed to be sort of the commitment that helps us sort of get people on board and into the platform and leveraging the tools we've built in a way that's really tailored to how you use the platform. And that in our work, in our focus groups, in our conversations with coaches over the last couple of years, many of you were not leveraging the full team reporting. You were using Cascade for that. You weren't using the team structure. You were using Cascade for that. Great, wonderful. Here's a tool now that you don't have to put that you don't have to complicate some of the stuff through the end user flow if you don't want to. Gives you everything from a sort of platform perspective that you can leverage while still retaining sort of that separation of member versus non-member for your end users. Yeah. So great. As we sort of round the corner and come to the home stretch, I'm sure people have questions about when, right? All right, when's this going to happen? What's the timeline? I want to lay out what I will say is absolutely a high level sort of timeline in terms of, I would say, have we planned it now? We're going to fill in specific dates. This is going to be month by month, but we'll fill in specific dates, I say, over the course of the next couple weeks. Okay. So today is August 9th, 2022, right? This is our first sort of public discussion. Okay. So we are laying it out there today. What's going to happen the rest of this month, right? Throughout the rest of August, we will sort of initiate and begin some communication with the current Cascade subscribers about their options for Gallup Access, right? I said we'll begin that outreach for current Cascade subscribers. We'll publish FAQs. One of the things I'm excited the most about from today is hearing what questions you have, and we'll answer what we can in the moment. And if we can't answer them in the moment, Richard and I will work to get them answered, and we'll publish them. That's one of our commitments here, right? And then as Cascade subscribers, sort of as you choose to sort of come into Access, we'll begin that onboarding process, right? That I'm sure there will be some of us some of you who are excited for this and you want to get in right away. We'll start getting you onboarded, right? In September, so next month, as we sort of think about, we'll be approaching the publishing sort of the integration into this. Richard and I will come back and we'll do a demo on Call to Coach of here's how it works, here's where it is, here's all the functionalities and so forth. Make sure you're all very comfortable with where to find it. And we'll be able to launch sort of by the end of that month, that personal subscription we're talking about in terms of getting that available for you all to explore. And we'll continue that onboarding of any Cascade subscribers that begin sort of contracting and coming over for subscriptions to Access. And then October, by October, we'll be launching this. And so we're talking a month and a half away, right? We'll be launching this. It'll be integrated and up and running. And that's when we'll begin outreach and marketing of here's what it is. We'll reach out to all of our existing Access subscribers that may not be current Cascade subscribers, and we'll show them what beautiful features they now have, all the value that Cascade can provide, and continue that ongoing sort of onboarding of our new subscribers. And then sort of when we get through that, I would say that initial heavy lift, right, of the launch and the outreach and the onboarding, that's when we're going to be able to start focusing our work on the enhancements and the ongoing sort of improvements and enhancements to the feature set, and conducting things like user feedback groups around, okay, now that you've seen how it's working in Access, what do you like, what do you not like, right? One of the things, Richard, I will tell the community loud and clear, Richard has made a very clear point to me and to the team at Gallup. We need to do a better job with getting feedback from our users. And we will. That is a commitment I'm willing to make publicly. And Richard's going to help us in sort of conducting some of those, pulling people together for user feedback groups so we can make sure that we are hearing the coach's voice, hearing the user's voice as we build out enhancements, right? So again, this is sort of our initial timeline for this to get you comfortable. August will begin communications, and we'll publish the FAQs. September we'll start sort of getting the demos done and sort of showing you how it's going to work and so forth along those lines. And then October is when, it'll be by October it's live. We'll be able to start sort of, giving you opportunity to experience it and then sort of begin the feedback loop on how it's working, what you like, what do you not like, right? So that's very high level. So I'm going to wrap the sharing piece of this and go back to reminding all of us what Richard said at the beginning about how this helps us moving forward, and that this is designed. Cascade was initially designed to help reduce admin time, reduce effort in getting content pulled together to go have a great conversation with a client. At Gallup, we are committed to continuing to improve the user experience you all have, as well as the entire offerings we can provide from a toolkit perspective that allow you to do what you do best. And we do not want to make life complicated for you. We don't want to make things more effort than is necessary. We want to empower you to have great conversations that change workplaces, that change communities, that change lives. That's what you're best at. Allow us to handle the admin, to handle the technology and the automation of stuff. We are committed to getting better at it so that you can help people identify what their strengths are, live their life in a better way. It's changed all three of our lives that are on this call together. I know that. And our hope is that this is a step in the direction of continuing that path. So thank you for that little run through. Jim, if you want to take the slides down, we can open the floodgates here and start answering some questions. I know there's been a great amount of them that are
they've been coming in. I've been capturing them, and so we've got them there. Austin, a couple good ways to start, and I think Amy just asked this question. It's a good place. She says, if we currently manage our teams through Cascade, don't have an Access subscription, can I import data into Access, or will I need to maintain two different tools? Can you guys talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, Amy, great question. So I would say short term, there's not going to be any need for you to change anything, right? So you can continue to manage those teams through the Cascade workbook you have. What will change is that future versions of the workbook, okay, enhancements we make, sort of new content, new reports, they will just the only way you'll get that version of the workbook is through Access. So you don't have to revert back and load data into Access if you don't want to. You can keep it where you've got it right now. But if you think about moving forward, that some of the functionalities around the automatically populated grid, sort of Cascade workbooks where you can just export a team or export a group directly sort of pre-populated, that would require being able to be in Access with connections to people through Access. But you will, everybody with this, you will have the ability to download a blank version of the workbook and operate it with manual entry or copy and paste like you have in the past. That will remain an option. So you can. I want to be really clear. Anything we're talking about from an automation perspective will be an additional option, not the only option.
I think, Austin, also just to add to that and sort of embellish what you're saying on that, in Cascade, in the theme table, there's the import themes button where you can import and export file from Gallup Access at the moment. What you can also do with that import themes button is instead of choosing the export file from Gallup, you can actually get it to choose a previous copy of Cascade, and it can be one, say, that you're running with now, and it will then pull all those people across. And if in the left-hand side of the theme table, in those 4 blue columns on the left, you've put in people's teams or role or where they're working, that sort of thing, it will bring that information across as well. So as you have done in the past, when you've upgraded to a later version of Cascade, you've used that import themes button to pull all the data across. That should still be there, so you can just carry on using that as you have done previously.
Austin, let me set some expectations just as we go into Q&A. So like I've done customer support for a long time, and like in anything, there's going to be a lot of very, very specific questions, lots of different configurations. we're not going to be able to cover all those questions, nor are we going to try to troubleshoot things here during this Q&A time. So we're going to try and cover high level stuff. If you have questions around Cascade, Richard's email, support@releasingstrengths.com. You can send him an email. That still works. He's still around. He's still answering that very quickly. Richard and I are kin spirit like that. We like to get those questions answered very, very quickly. He's going to be a great partner to me as we do this. And then 2, if you have questions on the Gallup side, you can still contact us, coaching@gallup.com, or call into our client support and customer support, and they'll be able to help you as well. So if we don't get to your specific questions today, hang tight, give us a call, and we can dig down on those specific questions. Here's a good general one though. I currently have an Access subscription, the $1,500 subscription as an independent coach. Should I switch to the new lower cost option? What services, if any, would I lose? Austin, I'll throw that to you first.
Yep, great question. And Jane Ann, I would say we're gonna be providing details for you on that in the coming weeks as we get ready for the launch of that subscription. I wanted to lay it out today that this is what's coming as part of this deal. I think everybody's use case and how you leverage the platform is what's going to dictate what's the right setup for you. Okay. We know without a doubt, that there are a lot of our coaches who have been in the $1,500 subscription that it's not the right type of subscription for you. We've only had one to offer. So it could be very well that it is the right one for you, Jane. And I think reach out to us. So that's when reach out to us and we'll talk about your specific use case with you. But as we approach September and into October, when all of this is live, we'll have very clear, like, if this is how you use the platform, feature breakdowns, the whole 9. And if you want to transition, what does that process look like for you? Because it's not going to be, I don't think a blanket one size fits all of independent coaches should now go over here, and big businesses should go over there, and small companies should be there. Like, it's not going to be that clear cut. It's going to be more about how you're leveraging the features.
Karen asked a question if our Cascade subscription is expiring. And I saw this a couple times, Richard, in the chat here. In the next month or so, would it be better just to renew Cascade now or wait to hear from Gallup? What's the advice there?
Okay, so what we've got, the critical date was the 20th of July. If your Cascade support was active on the 20th of July, you're in. Now, 10 days ago, I sent out an email doing the announcement, and those people who had active support had a very slightly different subject line heading to the email. So if you can get back to that email, if it says important news, Cascade is moving to a new home, you're in. If it says stop press, Cascade is moving to a new home, you might want to get in touch with me.
Yeah. That's really, I like how you broke it down by email title there, Richard. I like that.
Well, it's individualization for you.
Love it.
So Keely says, wondering how it works for coaches who work with an organization with Gallup Access and also works with others outside of Gallup Access. Sounds like they would need a personal subscription as well. Austin, talk a little bit about, hey, I work for a company, but I also do some coaching on the side. I have my own personal account that logs into Access, but I also have a company account that I log in. Can you talk a little to that question?
Yeah, great question. So this is where I think it's gonna, your account, it can have your so whatever username and password you use to log into Access, right? The way that platform is built, that's your account, and that can be tied to, essentially to either a consumer record or a client record. So you can log in as yourself or as a member of an organization. If you have multiple accounts, right? So I have a login I use for my employer. Then I have a different login I use for a business I have on the side. They're essentially, from our perspective, treated as 2 different customers, right? Because we don't know that login, automatically. We don't know if it's connected to the same human being. To us, it's connected to 2 different users in the platform. So if you are currently using your company's platform, for example, to send codes and use code management and content, right? I think that's a conversation between you and your employer as to whether you can continue to do that, or if you want to set up a second account over here on the side where you're using sort of the potentially personal subscription, potentially the consumer model. Like, I think that's, again, use case by use case, but we do see those as two different customers because they are different logins, different users in the system. We can't have any automated way to understand they're connected to the same person.
And Austin, just a point of clarification for folks who already have subscriptions and Cascade, when they move to this subscription, do they benefit from the free year of it as well? If they have a subscription,
you will not have. So if you currently have a subscription, you will not have to pay anything new. You will not, like, Cascade is turned on for you, right? So if you currently have a subscription to Access, this is a new feature that you will have in the platform. It is going to be tied to the system admin user role, right? So it's one of the things, we're not going to turn Cascade on for every single person in a subscription client, right? So if you think about some of our clients have, 30,000, 40,000 people in their company, we're not going to turn Cascade on for all 30,000 of those people because that's just not practical. Most of them aren't going to know how to use it or want to use it. But system admins are the roles that it's connected to. Is how we are going to help sort of control, like, some version control of the workbook. So we don't want 8,500, 300 people inside of a company out there with these workbooks. We want to be able to have some sort of control over making sure that the latest, greatest version is being used. But no, it is automatically turned on and it's included in the subscription.
Richard, I think this one's for you. It says we only have the ability to see data and access for codes we've purchased. When people take CliftonStrengths on their own, I can't see the results in Access. We put those in Cascade manually. Can we still do that? Will this still be a feature? This manual import will still be a feature?
Yes, Jennifer, that should still be there in that sense. So Cascade is still going to be a download. At the moment, you download it from my website or the email that I send you. In future, you'll just be downloading it directly from Gallup Access. So that's the main bit which is changing. The actual Cascade product itself is going to stay virtually the same at this initial stage, although it might have some Gallup branding on it, and all my releasing strength stuff will be probably wiped off it. But anyway, that's another matter. So the actual functionality is going to be pretty much the same as what you have at the moment. It's just where it's coming from. And so that's the initial piece. And then as time moves on, then it may well be the second phase is where when you download the Cascade product, it already comes pre-populated with your sort of client results in there.
Yeah.
Austin, Lauren asked a great question. She says, as an organizational client, should we talk with our relationship manager about what we need to do? So Lauren, we'll actually be contacting you through our channels. We'll be saying, hey, this is becoming, like, it wouldn't be a great idea today to reach out. Like, we're just communicating this internally as well as folks are coming on board. So there will be lots more communication coming through the webcasts, through our newsletters, through the support channels, and our folks. If you have a current relationship with us, we'll be sending you some instructions and some things to do. So there's literally nothing you need to do today. Like, you don't, this is not a call to action for you guys. We just want to make you aware, hey, this is coming, or we want to give you 60 days notice. These things are happening. But for all my activator friends out there, and there's a few of you, there's nothing you need to do today. Just hang tight. We got more information coming. Austin, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, you had the right person in mind, though. Yes, your RM will be the person to talk to when this is all happening. Look, hopefully those of you who are joining us live or listening to the recording of this have got to know me over the years. I'm open. I'm honest. I try to be transparent and be, tell you what I know and tell you what I don't know. We're going to take the recording of this call today. I'm going to take that link. I'm going to share it with everybody inside of our organization, all of our client-facing teams inside of Gallup, with the same questions you're asking me now, and start informing them of how to answer some of these questions, because they've got some very similar questions as you. What Richard and I were both committed to was, once this happened and it was official, we wanted to let all of you know. We wanted to be as upfront with you about as timing as we could. And then we're working through the operational details. I think Richard and I are partnering very closely on this. We have an entire team who some of you know, some of you don't know, who are on the call right now, who are capturing your questions and are helping sort of flag what we need to go research and answer. So this is the kickoff of a lot of the comms and resource building. We have an FAQ document built that will probably triple in size after the conversation today, right? And then we'll get it published as soon as we can. And we'll come back to you with this. And all of that will be given to our RMs, our account leaders, our business development teams, so that they can be best informed to help answer your questions as well. In the short term. So I'd say the next 2 weeks, right? So probably we'll say through the month of August. Just continue going the same place you have with support issues with Richard for support at releasingstrengths.com, coaching at gallup.com. Keep running through those channels, right? And then you'll get the big announcement of, okay, here's the FAQ, here's the sort of the instructions and the more definitive timing on launch dates and so forth. Coming in the next few weeks to a month in terms of the specifics around a lot of this, so you can be prepared.
Richard, this one's for you. Alice asks, will the old Cascade users still get access to all Cascade features? I'll just end
As
it there.
far as I'm aware, all the features within Cascade are going to remain the same. So all the features in terms of all the different reports, the fact that you can add your logo and all the other sort of extra bits which have been bolted onto Cascade, that should all still be there. One of the questions which I was receiving a lot over the last week or so, which might be worth just clarifying, Austin, is that there seemed to be a perception that you had to be a Gallup certified strengths coach in order to have a subscription with Access or that side of things. Do you want to just talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't. How about that? How about that for straightforward? No, Access is something that is open to the world. So anybody who's completed their strengths assessment, right? They have a presence in Gallup Access. It is both our client platform as well as our consumer platform. So we offer, and with the addition now of this personal subscription at a lower cost with a sort of more tailored feature set, our hope is that anybody who uses CliftonStrengths in quantity with people, whether it's in coaching or workshops or classrooms or whatever it may be, that you understand there's value from a user experience as well as from a content perspective inside of the platform that can be unlocked for you with a subscription. That does not require you to be a certified strengths coach. Now, there are additional perks to being a certified strengths coach, aside from the educational content and the toolkits and things along those lines. But the ability to purchase a subscription to Access is not dependent upon being a certified coach. Absolutely. We have in fact, the majority of our subscribers are not certified coaches, right? They're learning and development professionals, HR, OD professionals, they're managers, they're leaders, they're, organizations who maybe among their employee base have some coaches, but not, by no means is that a requirement.
Austin, question for you. Will this work with CliftonStrengths for students as well and through the Strengths Quest site?
Great question, Sabrina. I'm going to, oh God, I get myself in trouble when I do these because I know
this is a scary one. I may have to back you out on this one. But
thanks, Jim, for raising this question publicly. I'd say, so through the end of this year, the Access component of automation will not. You can absolutely still manually enter in results if you have them through Strengths Quest or through CliftonStrengths for Students, right? You can still leverage the manual functionality of the workbook to do this, okay? Beginning in 2023, we are going to be working to be pulling in CliftonStrengths for Students into Access. It's sort of the next big migration, if you will, right? And so I would say that there'll be a lot more to come on that front in 2023 and probably by the middle of the year next year, where there will be more student content in Access and the ability to help with that. So the e-commerce site for CliftonStrengths for Students is sort of the next big migration after, I'd say, and that's scheduled for the first half of next year.
I think this is a super good question from Ralph. Will you bring all Access languages to Cascade? I think currently it's 3, right? French, German, and Spanish. Richard has packs for those. And how you deal with translation redundancies. You guys want to, I don't know if we know a lot on that, but
yeah, I think it's a great question, Ralph, and I'd expect nothing else in terms of, I knew you'd be asking about languages. And so I'm surprised it's taken us till this point to talk about languages. So one of the, again, so traditionally, Cascade has offered multiple sort of, I'd say, tiers of content, right? And so the languages, the translated versions of Access of Cascade, everybody's going to default to getting that. That's going to be sort of the included, if you will. So even if you didn't unlock the language pack before, you will have access to the language pack moving forward. There was the personal, and then there was the premium. Right, everybody's going to get the premium version in terms of the 2,000 lines of potential data entry, right? So we're defaulting the version. We're going to have one version of it in Access. Everybody's going to get the 2,000 line version with the language packs, right? Beyond that, Ralph, that's one of those things I think that is on that future phase of how do we enhance this, is how do we get more languages? How do we translate content so we can, we've been asked for years and justifiably so, how do we get more learning content, more learning resources in other languages? The beauty of Cascade is it will enable us, I believe, to do that quicker, to get translated content up and out quicker. So I can't speak to specifics about what languages when, but that's part of the appeal of this to us, is the ability to get it up and out quicker. So the thing I've learned, and part of Richard's brilliance in how he built it, was different languages with different fonts and different sort of numbers of characters and so forth. Some of the automation of the reporting through Cascade does become kind of tricky, but I've got a great team of designers and programmers who are working through that behind the scenes to try to figure out, what can we do to make that work and scale.
Austin, I think a point of clarification just from the chat room on pricing. The existing subscription, $1,500 subscription today, can include the codes.
If you're a certified coach, yes.
If you're a certified coach, can include the
those
codes.
Perks of being certified.
Right. Any plans to make that available on this subscription? For right now, we're saying no, but thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think, look, that part of this is that's not the intent for the personal subscription, is it would be a $300 purchase, right? But again, we'll have all the launch details. We'll have all the, how do you get this, which subscription is right for you. Well, all of that is coming as sort of part of this resource launch we're going to do, both around the Cascade integration and then how do you get the right kind of permissions set up for you, the right kind of relationship with us moving forward. We want to make sure that we lay out not only sort of the facts, but also the recommendations on when you should use different types.
Richard, you've been watching the chat room along with me. Anything that I've missed in there, or anything we've got 3 minutes or so. Let's just say 2, because I need to wrap it up. But
a lot of it is sort of, are they in or are they not, and that sort of thing with the initial piece. Again, if you got the email from me saying important news, you're in. If you didn't, just drop me a line and then we can work something out with that. Lots of questions which we've already answered about all the features within it. All the features within Cascade as it stands at the moment are going to be there. It's just coming from a different source. So not a lot is changing in that sense, and you would still be able to import the themes from the previous versions of Cascade with that. The bonus, which Austin's just mentioned, is the fact that you're going to get all 3 language packs in there, which normally at the moment they'll be chargeable. You'll get the bonus pack, you get the Go Large, so you get everything. So that's a nice big extra bonus that you're going to get from that. Yeah, and I think if you've got any questions or got any concerns, just drop me a line or get in touch with someone so that you can then talk those through.
I did throw your email in the chat, so support.
I saw that, and we've had quite a few emails come in already at the moment, so that's going to keep me busy.
We booked Richard's day for the rest of the time.
Support at releasingstrengths.com. If you're interested in information on the subscription side, not today, but as we progress forward, there'll be more information coming, but coaching at gallup.com. Austin, I cut you off. One final thought.
This is a step. Like, this is a big step. I think we hope it is a visible step of how serious Gallup, I say big G Gallup, like the organization, takes the feedback from our coaches, that we have heard for years how much you love Cascade. We have heard for years how you wish we would offer things that made it easy, like Cascade. And so by tightening our partnership with Richard and by bringing Cascade into Access, there's going to be an aspect of this where we are able to learn from Richard and learn from the Cascade experience around what are the other things we can apply this thinking to. Okay. And so Ralph had asked a question in the chat, like, well, is there going to be a day where you're going to sunset Excel and this is all going to be platform based? Yeah, like that's part of the vision, is how do we make it so easy for you that you don't even have to download a workbook to do this kind of stuff, that you can just click a button and get the output. And we want to provide the Excel workbook for those who prefer that method of operating, right? That prefer the offline ability to have a workbook on your desktop, that you don't have to have a Wi-Fi signal. You can just have it, use it how you want it. Great. We want to provide that option. But then how do we build dashboards inside of Access that can leverage the same kind of output, that can leverage the same kind of beauty and ease and sort of functionality there, that can pull in other data, right? What's the future look like with how you combine Cascade's brilliance with our engagement and workplace data that we have inside of Access as well, right? All of these things are part of the future we're visioning here, right? It's a big step today. We're excited about it. I can't tell you how jazzed I am to work with Richard and learn from Richard and leverage his passion for the coaching community to help improve us and make us better and push us. And so I'm really excited for this. We had so many questions we weren't able to answer. Some I may not have answered to your level of satisfaction, right? Let us know. We're documenting all these. Chloe and Riley are in the background right now, jotting notes faster than they can jot, helping us sort of capture this to sort of inform our ongoing communication for all this.
Richard, one last word from you as we wrap this up.
I'm just looking forward to how this is going to go forward and how it's going to progress in that sense. And I'm really looking forward to keeping my connections with the coaching community and being able to get more involved with the Gallup Tech team and what's going on there to really build something fantastic for the coaches.
That's great to have you. I'm super looking forward to working with you over the next set of years as we roll this thing out. And welcome. Glad to have you. And glad to have you doing this with us. So I appreciate it. A couple reminders on our way out for everybody listening. These are important. Don't hang up just yet. Don't close out the browser. I know you want to. Stay here. Just want to remind you all, take advantage of all the resources we do have available in Gallup Access, whether you're a consumer version or the full subscription, and the new one's coming. Gallup.com/CliftonStrengths will get you logged in there as well for coaching, master coaching, or if you want to become a Gallup certified strengths coach, maybe you're listening to this and you're not. You can send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. We can help you through that process. Find us on Facebook if you want to continue the conversation there, facebook.com/groups/called-to-coach. And I'm sure it's already lighting up with a bunch of questions. I see a bunch of numbers on my Facebook thing. And so we'll probably spend the afternoon talking about this. We want to thank you for joining us today and appreciate your time. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for your questions. And we'll see you back. Just watch gallup.eventbrite.com. So I'll say it again, gallup.eventbrite. We'll be doing multiple sessions around this going forward, and we'll announce them there. So make sure you follow us over there. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.